You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the April 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Long Beach Public Works Committee. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Public Works Committee meeting for today, April 22nd, 2004. We'll start with roll call. Tom Dolph. Here. Greg Parrish. Here. Laurel Kozinski. Here. Scott Pop. No, okay. Dan Ranke. Here. Am I saying that right again? Don, that's what it is. I'm sorry. That's why, I knew something. Rick Remages. Here. John Wall. Here. Great. And I know Diane Heitman's here too, and got Chief Swistek as well. At the beginning here, I've got public comments. Do we have anyone on Zoom?
No.
Okay, perfect. Little typo here. I have approval of March minutes. There was no April meeting. That's approval of the February minutes because there was no March meeting. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the February minutes. Second, Laurel. Thanks. All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you. And thanks, Diane, for preparing those. Stormwater update. Some of these might be able to come off, I think, the agenda, right? I mean, the stop 17, that one's
17 is pretty much done.
Yeah, it's done. Yeah.
Spruce some things up a little bit. There's maybe a patch or two. I do want to bring one thing up. If it's okay. So you understand. I do want to bring one thing up. I sent out a note. I think I copied you on it. So I've spoken to Rizvi, the guy at 17, who's had all kinds of water problems on his own personal area. And he was wondering why we didn't hook up one of the one of the structures that's right there in this driveway. Tom and I went down and took a look at it. He informed me of all the history on it. It's essentially a private line. It is, you know, from here to the picture on the wall from our structure. But I'm trying to encourage him to get a private contractor to camera the lines and figure out what he's got going on over there, because there's another drain from here to that other picture that is his trench drain. And I think they're all connected. Tom thinks they're teed and they went down in a private line years ago when the prior couple of owners ago did some remodeling. Long and short of it is I just want to bring that to everybody's attention. Whether we do something for him or with him in the future, we'll have to decide. But right now he's going about the process of having a private guy take a look at everything and see if he can figure out exactly what's going on. Even if we were to tie that little one into our structure up top, which is actually in the right of way, by the way. I don't think that's going to solve anything for him, really. It'll take a little bit of water, but it's not really going to help him. So that's where that sits right now.
Thank you. I did that on that email on the picture, so.
Also, I spoke with Brad Minnick, and Brad's working on getting us the invoice from Woodruff's since we're near completion on that project. They just, as John indicated, they've got a few more restoration patches that they need to do in a few locations, but otherwise it's pretty close to completion.
The only other comment I'd make on that SUP 17 project, I went down there after that horrendous rain we had about 3 weeks ago or whatever it was when it really came down. I forget how much we had, but it was a lot. And when you get down to the outflow down at the bottom, everybody was worried, you know, the adjacent neighbors were talking about, hey, we're going to have this huge washout. Well, it's considerably better than it was before without the new SUP 17 water being captured, 17 and 18 water being captured and going down the way it's supposed to. So Sam, the engineer from Haas, explained that we've reduced the slope. It's not as severe of a slope, what was coming down there before with this whole new design, in addition to the structural capacities. But so it's way better than it was. It's not doing any more damage. And that, I would say that was a 50-year rain that we had the other day. I mean, it was a very significant rain. So I think we're very happy with what the outcome is on that outflow.
Awesome. Thank you. Any CPMG project integration update?
Sam is working on our application to the state for the CCMG application process, which is due in July. All indications are he has everything that he needs, and we should hear back from him in a couple of weeks here as far as getting that application to look at it prior to submittal.
Remind me again who Sam is?
He is with Haas Engineering, one of the engineers that handles our CCMG project every year.
Okay. Anything for the St. Lawrence, paving or all of that project?
That's kind of tied into CCMG, so they're both related.
Okay, I'm gonna move that off the agenda going forward and just keep it on for CCMG.
Tom, any updates for you, CCMG project strategy or capital needs?
No, that pretty much, you know, what Mark stated is pretty much where we're at with that. Capital needs would be the F-550 truck replacement, but that I'm just kind of waiting on a go or no kind of thing there.
Is that a budget and finance now, those quotes? Yeah.
Well, we're gonna need to get an updated quote, because the quote that Tom provided was for a truck that was in stock. I don't believe, have we checked to see if they have any left?
I haven't, I told them that instead of playing back and forth as far as, you know, you know, when it comes time, I'll check with them for an updated quote and see if that's still in stock. If it's not, then, you know, there's gonna be a price change in there, because then it would be next year's model.
So are you waiting for approval for budget and finance before you get the quote, or is it, but it sounds like budget and finance is waiting on a quote, right? Is it?
No approval to move forward. We haven't moved forward on any of the major capital expenditures yet, so we have a ballpark idea of what the truck's going to cost. It's just to get approval from budget and finance to move to the council, and then council will give us approval to move forward with the purchase.
Okay.
So, and Tom, while you're up too, probably when we give the Kendra, if you could, when you give this report for this committee to the council in a couple of weeks, probably one of the things we seriously need to talk about is, you know, forecasting out Lakeshore Drive paving. In the last 2 weeks, I've been inundated with phone calls from a lot of the residents asking, you know, when are we going to pave Lakeshore Drive? I know tentatively we're forecasting out 2026, 2027, kind of doing it in a 2-year project, but we probably need to get that, you know, kind of penciled in the capital outlay. And then, I don't know, Tom, your thoughts. I think we talked about what, stop 13, moving to the east, going as far as we can, breaking that up maybe into 2 projects.
Yeah, we could, well, you know, that all depends on cost and everything else, and then the drainage work that we may have to do in between in certain areas or whatever. So, I mean, that would kind of make a difference in the total project. So then we may look at, you know, breaking it up into sections and doing this one section 1 year, one section after, or hopefully we don't have to break it up into 3, but you never know yet.
We have probably more stormwater work to do 22 east, correct, than we do from 22 to the west?
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of thinking if we start down paving at 13, then it gives us another year to save up a little bit more stormwater to use towards, you know, paving that eastern portion of Lakeshore.
We've got some big decisions to make, though. We have to send Haas on their way as far as engineering, and then we also have to decide what we're doing with right-of-ways. If we're going to, I mean, I would hate, personally, I would love to see us rebuild Lakeshore, meaning take out the old concrete crap underneath there so that we're not just keep putting, you know, peanut butter over jelly. It would be nice to really do it right this time, I would think. If we get the drainage correction and then, you know, rip that old pavement out full depth and put full depth, now that's gonna restrict your finances a little bit. But if we did it in a 3-year outlook, I think that's a more intelligent way. I mean, we've been paving that thing for years. Yeah, it just keeps deteriorating because of all the concrete. And now that we've got the utilities in pretty good shape, we really shouldn't have to do much. I mean, gas is all in, water's in decent shape. We won't have to tear it up anymore.
One of the questions I was asked is, are we going to stripe it before 26, 27? I don't know. I mean, I don't see a need right now, but so, I mean, it'd kind of be throwing away, you know, good money if we're just going to rip it right back up within 24 months. So-
if we did, then, you know, it'd be running through with just, you know, the paint instead of the thermoplastic. But I would suspect that when we do the final project, that we do the thermoplastic, right?
Yeah.
Put that into the project.
Okay.
That's lasts much longer.
So maybe we should do a workshop in relatively short order and try to get the temperature of the, I don't know how we want to handle this. Do we want the community involved or just want the council to make some of these decisions? But before we put a scope out to us, we kind of need to make those decisions. If we're
Right.
going to straighten out some of the right of way, meaning, you know, push people's encroachments back, we need to make that decision before we start the design process so that they can get direction from us, whether we want a full 30-foot roadway or what we're going to do.
Right.
And then also the drainage. So if we want to do a 26 project, then we shouldn't wait to 25 to make those decisions because it'll take us a fair amount of time to engineer it once we tell them to go.
Right.
Plus we have to commit the dollars to the engineering too.
Right.
We can get an estimate from him on that once we give him a rough scope. So it's the cart before the horse. So.
Yeah. That's why I think it's important as we present to the council, there's some, you know, serious decisions that need to be made for the next, you know, 24 to 36 months as it relates to Lakeshore Drive. So, and it's kind of the town's premier roadway. So as we do this, we want to do it right so that we're not having to come back in 5-6 years and, you know, redo it. So.
If we were to open it up to the full,
If we were to open it up to the full 30 feet, you said? Would we-
Well, just this now.
Okay.
Right now, I think mostly 25 or so.
22. Yeah, I mean, it varies all over.
Right.
And, you know, it would be nice, I think. Although some folks may not be happy with it, but at some places where Lakeshore does narrow down, it would, you know, it's barely two cars or two truck and a car. Widen that back out a little bit and give people more room, walking, biking, all that kind of
That's
stuff.
what I was gonna ask. Would there ever be room to do a walking path, a bike path, like narrow, but at least stripe it so people kind of know where to
Those are the
stick?
decisions that the council needs to make.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, you really need to have enough of a margin there, which would require you to widen out that roadway, which you could do if you chose to do it, because you have the right of way. You are gonna make some people mad at having encroachments, but they're on our property, so I would think if you wanted to do this reconstruct, spend the kind of dollars we're talking about with the 75-25 match, which is a wonderful gift to the town. I would think you'd want to do it intelligently rather than just patching it back in where it sits.
Yeah.
And then you could do something.
Okay, I'll put this on the agenda for the May.
But
To start that discussion.
Just so we're all on the same page. It can be entered.
Yeah.
So we don't have to tell somebody, hey, we're going in your, you know, your front room, but there's things that are sitting there, like Greg will tell you, there's stuff right over the top of water mains, which is on our right, that should be gone for lots of reasons. So I think it'd be best to, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, the town needs to make those decisions. I don't know what the feeling of this one.
Yeah, I mean, you've been here a lot longer than I have, but, any of us can visually see that's a problem, and I can think of some steps, and I'm gonna say for me, any one of us can figure that out. That's gonna be likely. And I think what you just mentioned, I kind of picking, if I heard it right, picking a width that we're just gonna be consistent throughout, and that's what we're gonna do. And we'll accommodate people to the extent that we can, but you need to get to your utilities. You need to have a consistent road to service. It's probably bad. It is bad.
You know, we've got a 50-foot right of way, so you don't need, you don't need a 50-foot roadway, obviously.
Yeah.
But if we decided on a 30 or some nominal dimension, then, you know, we could kick it back and forth a little bit, but we'd have to direct us where we wanted to kick it so that when he makes that design, we're going back and redesign it 5 times either. So that's the kind of thing that some kind of workshop that we all sit down somewhere in a room and decide, you know, take some maps or go out and.
Can we also make people walk on the correct side of the road?
Well, that's.
Right side only.
Single file.
Right.
You know, Sharon Beach has a bike lane striped in, but they're in the same shape we are. It's too narrow for them.
Yeah,
And then the other thing, I think, from a liability standpoint, I'm a lawyer, but once you realize you have a problem, you don't do something about it, and then somebody gets hurt, then now that's pulled in. So we have to be a little bit aware of what we're doing here. Once we start reconstructing, if we leave it narrow, and all of a sudden, hey, Johnny hits on his bike, and
yeah.
how come you didn't?
I can honestly say, I think if we're gonna do, taking back some of the right of way, that's probably gonna be a 3-year project when you look at it, because there is gonna be a lot of cost associated to it, especially the engineering and then reconstruction of the road. But I mean, it's, as Rick said, it will be a lightning rod topic, because a couple homeowners that it will affect. I've spoke to at least 2 of them in recent months. And I know there's gonna be a lot of people that'll be pretty outspoken about, because it'll affect some of the, off-street parking, and some of these people, that's the only place they have to park right now. So yeah, so it's something that needs a serious discussion and public input.
Can I add one more thing that we, street governments? I'm kind of leaning towards the way of just not allowing anybody to cut the street. The only ones that would be public utilities, would be, water from us, NIPSCO, AT&T, Comcast. Outside of that, I don't really see, there's places all over that don't allow, cutting of the roadway to be able, like, say you want to put a new driveway in. They want a straight, nice edge along the end of their driveway of what meets the road. But what we run into is folks want to push the limits, and they work their way out into Lakeshore Drive, and then they pour a concrete driveway. Then we got all these mismatched, especially on all our new roads that we've done. We don't have these concrete protrusions, pavers, everything else, where they created their driveway and made it come out into the road, created the straight edge, which they cut beyond 6 inches, 8 inches, or a foot into the road. Then you got that driveway that doesn't match up with his neighbor and everybody else. So at the same time, when we're talking about all this Lakeshore Drive and everything else, maybe we look at updating our street covenant process. It's been over 30 years since that thing has been in place. Or maybe we just don't allow anybody in, and they come to where we allow them to come to, because once they come out so far, they're in right away anyway. So probably in the permit process that they would have to fill out, letting us know who the contractor is, what they're doing, and everything else. And I do believe copy goes to the building commission.
Who approves street cut permits right now? Not building commission? You guys?
Mark.
Gotcha, okay.
So what we would do is simply establish a line. When they fill out their permit to put in a new driveway, replace the road, that we establish that line, and we go out there and mark it, and you're not allowed to come out further than that line. So, put a paint line or a chalk line or anything like that. So they would still go through the permit as far as filming out, so we have record of the contract and what they did and all that kind of stuff. But as far as actually cutting the road, just not allow anybody to cut the road and be one of the utilities.
So right now, if somebody gets a street permit and you guys approve it, they are allowed to cut into the road then?
It's technically not allowed to cut into the road.
You just kind of ask them not to, but they do anyway. Is that the short of it?
No, usually, most everybody does pretty this, but what I've been doing is I would give them a mark on the road, right at the street edge or whatever. Like, if you got enough where Lakeshore Drive goes in and out and spread out any aprons and anything like that up to the driveway, I'll give them a mark where they can cut a straight line to there. But some people, they see that Lakeshore Drive is broken on the edge and everything, maybe a foot and a half into Lakeshore. Maybe, well, can we go out to that? We've got to cut that off to make it straight. Well, when we go through and mill for the paving project, that mill's gonna create, and when they replace the pavement, that mill's gonna create that nice straight line. Although it won't be for a while until the project actually happens, but, they would eventually end up with that straight line across the end of their driveway.
So what we're saying is the concrete can come out to a point, but then they've got to patch the asphalt back in instead of pouring their concrete all the way in.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what people do. They make their cut and then they puke the concrete out into the roadway instead of putting asphalt patch, because that's another cost. Since they got to get another guy to come out and put some asphalt.
Okay.
That's one of the issues.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Greg, water department?
Okay, Big Shore Drive is almost complete. They are down to just a couple areas to patch and asphalt, or concrete them. Also Dixon will be in next Tuesday to do our tank flushing and epoxy inspection. I'll give a report on that at our next meeting with the results. Diane has our consumer confidence report, CCR draft completed, and it was approved by IDEM. She will be working on getting it sent out to all customers. I'd like to thank her for her hard work on that. Also has been working on our annual water audit, and we are scheduled for validation on May 2nd with Rural Water Alliance. Once we get validation, we can send it down state to Indiana Finance Authority. I would also like to thank also for the work on that. It's been a lot of work. We also been working on service line identification. This is one of the requirements that is needed for our lead copper inventory for IDEM. We are probably about 95% complete. We're hoping to have this completed soon. I've noticed we have a lot of irrigation systems being turned on. We just need to keep in mind that you have to have a backflow inspection on that every year for your backflows. We're watching, so pretty hefty fines if you get caught running irrigation without an inspection. Other than that, that's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
Yeah, are these, irrigation pipes are they required to do that? Do they know that they have to send the reporters there up to us to ask them to do it?
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that we've been kind of talking about. I don't know if, on a legal standpoint, if we can make the contractor responsible for turning on, if they turn the irrigation on without the inspection. That's something we're kind of looking into. I'd like to put it on the backs of the contractors instead of the homeowner. Because the contractor by law, it's a law that they can't turn on an irrigation system without a backflow prevention inspection. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing right now is we're just putting it on the backs of the homeowners, that they're responsible to send the reports in and to make sure that they get the inspection. I think some of the contractors are following that rule that they just automatically test it, as they turn it on, but we're finding that some aren't. So,
I did reach out to, the handful of the main contractors folks using town to remind them last month. As you're turning systems on, don't forget that you need the backflow, and I got responses back from all of them saying.
Do you think they will send the report directly here or give it to us and we have to bring it in?
The homeowner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is our third year going into this, so we're still kind of playing around with it, trying to find the best ways to make this work so that we are compliant with IDEM with the backflow. So we're still working on it.
Greg, have you found systems that are not compliant?
Yes, we have. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately.
By companies or vendors that were turning systems on?
Yeah, we have a couple that I know that are running irrigations that don't have backflows right now. We're gonna get those taken care of this spring. We do, whenever we're thinking like around June, Diane will be able to generate a report. So we'll go through, we know you have an irrigation, we don't have a report. That's when we start tagging them.
And we're able to tell as well by their water
Water
usage,
usage, yeah.
we see. We know.
Right.
That's great.
And as we go forward, our meters, that we're installing now, because we're at our 20-year mark, and some of our meters are starting to fizzle out. So we're putting in the newer style heads that we're using, they're T10s. Those meters are almost AI. I mean, we can go by your house and data log that meter. We know you got up last night, flush your toilet, how much water you use. So once we get all these in our system, it's gonna be a long process. We're not just gonna go out and do a random change out, but, you know, so as we go forward, we're gonna know that you're irrigating, because we're gonna see when it comes on, how much it uses when it comes on. It's a lot of information that we'll be able to use. So,
Thank you.
yeah, okay. Anybody else have a question?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, move on to a couple of items. I just wanted to discuss, see what you guys thought about, the May meeting. It's scheduled to, be on Memorial Day, which I don't think any of us want to do that. So do you want to cancel it now? Do we want to combine it, wait and see, move it to another date in May? I'm open for anything. What do you guys think?
I think canceling, it'll give us time to wrap these couple of projects up, and then in June, we can report back on the wrap up on the major projects, and then also anything that occurred, you know, prior to that.
Okay.
So I don't think of anything big pending items that we have right now.
I don't know if we need a motion for that, but I'm gonna make one anyways, just to follow the rules. So motion, I'd like to entertain a motion to cancel the May meeting. So move. Second?
Second.
Sounds like we're all in favor, but all in favor, say aye. Aye. Great, thank you. Yeah, June
24th.
June 24th, okay. I just wanted to update everybody, in the last meeting, or I guess it was probably our 2 meetings ago, Rick Sweeney came and wanted to, talk to us about dedicating a street in honor of a friend of his that had passed. I sort of at the time directed him that we would talk about it at the council, but knowing in the past, we have always declined those options just because there's more requests and there could possibly ever be streets or things to honor people. And I did bring it to the council, and everyone agreed that that wasn't going to be a possibility, but that a memorial, the Long Beach Community Center is doing a fundraiser for memorial bricks around the garden there. So something like that could be of interest. And I did call Rick and leave a message on his phone. I didn't talk to him. He didn't pick up, but I did communicate that to him. So that, and then last thing, I added to the agenda, Mark, I think it's Mark, you had quotes for the salt barn that we need for storing new materials or storing with salt materials and things like that.
We have one contractor currently that is working on a quote for us. We reached out to a second contractor that actually assisted the town of Trail Creek in constructing their salt barn, but we have not heard back yet from that contractor. And then we may even try and seek a third quote here, but at this time, we don't have a quote. We have placed this discussion in front of the Budget and Finance Committee in hopes of getting the capital project for the salt barn on this year's capital expenditure list, because we do have some salt that we either have to pay storage for at some point this year, just because of the light winter. We didn't use as much salt as we anticipated. Therefore, if we don't take delivery on the salt, the town by contract is on the hook for storage of the salt with Cargill. So that's why we want to increase the storage capacity of our current salt barn. And then also the current salt barn is extremely aged and needs replacement. So hopefully at our June meeting, we can have an update on that discussion.
I know your quotes aren't in yet, you said, but what, like approximately?
I think we threw out 100 to 120,000, Tom, somewhere in there.
Something like that, okay. Okay. Anything else? Anyone? No? Okay. Motion to adjourn? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you.